Good afternoon. How are you? Well, the temperature is getting a little boring. It's about 25 degrees. The wind, which isn't affecting us, is about 10 miles an hour. And the humidity is 50. So, there's a day for you. Thomas Jefferson's report. Blame the homage on his behalf for the weather that we're experiencing. And, some of the powder last night, we had snow last night, felt like champagne powder, meaning if it was a little deeper and thicker and there were any place around here to ski, it would be good for skiing. So what are we all thinking about? Now, I guess we all are not thinking of the same thing, but there's kind of a PTSD collider. There's stirred in with cognitive dissonance and belief systems we have of what is good and caring and lawful practices and expectations of how that should play out when we're under siege with persons headed by felon Trump who do not share these values or care about them at all. The most toxic element of the atmosphere we find ourselves in is that our information network is becoming like the Ministry of Truth in that dystopic story found in 1984. So all of this is pretty depressing and upsetting to the average good-willed, clear-thinking person of standards and conduct. Now, what can we do about this? Well, first we have to realize it's not you or me who are wrong. These values are peculiar to our country and other democracies. These values have been long held and improved over time, going from what it was like at the Declaration of Independence and the signing of the Constitution. And the most dramatic thing is the extension of individual rights and liberties to slaves, to women. And the horror is that we see these advances in favor of a democracy that believes in equal justice for all, so we said, is seeing it torn and compromised and damaged by felon Trump and his corrupt minion. So my advice and what I do is thinking of you stand your ground. You do what you can for the common good. And you'd only do what you can that doesn't you. I'm sorry for the wind. It's pretty bad today. And so these are the things that we have to embrace for those of us who care and who present ourselves, if you will, as examples to others, particularly children, but other members of a family too. And for those who think what I'm saying is some sort of Pollyanna wish, if life teaches us anything, it is that things change, that what seems impossible becomes history past. And so we should keep that in mind when we're thinking the darkest thoughts about, will this ever end? Because the end of what is dystopic and suppressive and crazy and not caring and selfish and discriminatory is not something we can embrace, nor can others do that. We all have to realize that when felon Trump says he's going to go after Greenland, Canada, Mexico, well, he won't do anything of the sort. So why does he say it? He doesn't want us thinking about Carter. He doesn't want us thinking about the sentence he had the other day. He doesn't want us thinking about his incompetent nominees to be in his cabinet. He doesn't want us to think about the deals he's made that run counter in any organization to what is ethical and appropriate conduct. It's how he gets in the news and becomes the stories. He has a clown act, but this clown act is not a funny act. This is more like the Batman Joker, the pure evil sentinel of bad acts. Now, take it as a given that felon Trump is cruel, lashing out at California. Take it as a given when his failure to advance global warming has as an example the terror and horrors in California. He wants us to think about something else. Of course, he fights the information about his role in the insurrection. And the reason that the insurrection was critically important to him, including prosecutors running for the hills. Of course, he fights about that. And he fights to keep out the documents that show what he did in the insurrection from the special counsel. And the documents that were top secret, they took from the White House and kept in insecure locations. Discussed it with civilians who didn't have clearance. And who knows what else he did with these documents that have value, since this man measures value based on ka-ching, money in the bank, debt that he can use. Now, to be fair, we have already been compromised in this fight. We have been compromised because we lost time and we lost battles that we could have won if we showed courage, if we showed fortitude, if we made the arguments that exist. You've heard me say till I'm blue in the face, you can't win the argument you don't make. Well, I don't know how anybody thought Garland was going to be a good attorney general. And like Mueller, I expected so much more from not so special counsel Jack Smith. And if you need a symbol system to understand it, while the question of these documents being released, both about the insurrection from the D.C. court case before Judge Chutkan and the top secret documents in Florida before Judge Luce Cannon, then he quit on Friday. That is, Jack Smith quit on Friday. You know, yeah, if you were to go to one of those publishing houses in downtown Manhattan and come in and tell them this story, they'd say, it's not believable. It could never happen, but it has. And it's not over. And some said, what do we do? Do we wait until he finishes his 4 years? Truth is, it may already be too late. Do we believe a chief executive can issue 100 executive orders on the day he's sworn in and not expect that to be as clumsy and mistaken and to fail as widespread as the proposed hurry up and consent to my nominees for the various cabinet positions? This is where America is. And this is where we draw the line. Do not do anything that compromises your ability to get along day by day, because your value system is a serious one and Trump has no value at all. If you have opportunities to talk to a neighbor, to write a letter, to contribute to someone else or some organization like the ACLU, and there'll be other organizations, AARP for those concerned about Social Security, members of Congress. You know, we have people who can fight. We have to urge them not to wait, to miss the early innings when we can kill this cancerous, evil birth in the cradle. And the cradle opens up January the 20th. Don't go to it, the inauguration. Don't turn it on. And use the words felon Trump whenever you talk about Trump. So those are a few of my thoughts on this marvelous day. Ever onward into the deepening winter. And so I say goodbye to you from my Cathedral of Trees. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.